What's going on, everybody? Doc, your average gamer guys, back again. More Last Day on Earth action, and as promised, this one's been in the works for a little while. We are jumping in to a settlement update and a big, major milestone. I am so excited to share. We have finally, after quite a grind, have maxed our settlement up until this point. So far, expected more to come on this frontier as one of the things that we continue to get upgraded and have options for. But as it stands right now, as of the recording of this, we are finally maxed out on our settlement. So I want to walk through kind of what this looks like, kind of cover the buildings, cover some thoughts, and where our sticking points were in terms of the grind. Now, granted, this is on our main account, so do keep that in mind. We have access to all the different locations. We have been able to make some really good expedition progress. We'll jump into that. If you're just popping into this video for the first time, welcome to the channel. Thanks for being here. If you're a subscriber or been around a while, thanks for coming back, checking it out. Like I said, I'm excited to share this. So first and foremost, let's just jump into this. This took me a while. This took me a pretty significant grind for a handful of materials, interestingly enough, that become important. So what I want to do, just quickly showcase here, I'll share with you that that's where we're at. We're at Storehouse. We have everything locked and loaded. I guess maybe the best thing to do here is to showcase Storehouse. We have everything built. We're up to our limit. Woodshop is the same. Foundry, same thing. Assembly, and the workshop. Did I say workshop twice? What do I? Oh, woodshop. I did say workshop. I meant woodshop. So this is how, kind of overview, this is how our settlement is set up. We have basically this broken down. We do our storehouse here, and then essentially just broken off from each of that, we have each of the respective rooms. We have a couple of generators, 2 storage areas for generators, split in the middle here, and then one on the outside here for the pump access, and then another up by the substation to get that going and to be able to do that. So we have it done. We have all the walls. We have everything that we needed inputted. We have everything dropped down that we can possibly build at this point. One thing interesting to note, so the wood shop was the storehouse was the last thing for me to get upgraded. It takes the most amount of walls to get upgraded, which is probably the I don't want to say the toughest grind of this whole thing, but definitely one of the longest. And I was under the understanding that we be able to install reinforced pallets, and I have not been able to do that quite yet. However, I do believe now I can upgrade these, which I think upgrades them. I'm going to make the assumption that this allows me to upgrade them to reinforced pallets, which adds extra capacity. You have to be storehouse level 4. So I still have a little bit more to go, I guess, technically from that perspective, because we can drop these in, but everything else is built and we are up and ready to go. One question you might be asking that I do want to cover is, well, Doc, now what are you going to do? Honestly, I'm going to try to continue to upgrade this and continue to install a handful of things. So I am going to work towards getting these reinforced pallets done. So we need to do 4 of them to get prepared for the next level. Obviously, we can't do walls level 5 yet because they're not in the game. We can, however, also drop in reinforced floors. So this will also be something that we focus on. This is going to require a lot of oak. These are the oak version of the frames. We need gravel. Then we need, this is whatever, metal parts, I think. Metal parts, I think, technically is what they're called. And then we need iron sheets as well. We have been kind of working a little bit towards those things. So we have a handful of these items ready to go. We have the sheets. We have a whole ton of gravel, so I'm not concerned there. But essentially, the 2 things that we'll need to make, we've actually been storing up some sturdy frames. Again, these are the oak frames, so keep that in mind. And then I think the last, I forget what the last thing was. Oh, the metal parts. Metal parts have actually been interesting because we have had to utilize them for upgrading doors here. That has been one of the big things that we have had to jump on. So this is how our base is set up here, and a couple of tips up front. I'm going to do a deeper dive on settlement tips, building tips, and those kinds of things. If you are continuing to work towards getting your settlement upgraded, get your respective different rooms built up, one of the biggest things I can tell you is pay very close attention to this white border wall here, and you see it around your walls. What this is essentially doing is signifying each of the rooms that you have. The best thing that you can possibly do to save a just massive amount of resources is share walls. This is the biggest thing. So essentially why we were able to get some really fast progress was we, off of our storehouse here, have 2 different rooms that are attached. So every wall that we're upgrading for this and every wall we're upgrading on this side, we are actually getting double duty. We're getting it to count for the upgrade for this room, specifically the assembly, as well as the storehouse. And that unequivocally was the thing that helped me the most, I think, to be able to progress and to get this done. So I do want to just kind of share that really major tip up front. And again, we'll be doing a wasteland survival guide on the settlement here shortly, to kind of jump into all of the different tips and tricks and building and things. There's definitely lots of optimization that I would personally like to do. I don't think you need a storehouse, for instance, this big, but I also think the storehouse can be set in the middle, and that actually probably sets you up for a little bit more success. You can see we have a lot of room. We have a lot of room to expand, which is good. We definitely did not need to be this big in order to fit everything. So I think that's another important piece of this whole equation. So let's talk about some supplies that I think were a hindrance, or probably our biggest gateways to getting the progression done. The first one I'm going to talk about is slate. So slate is required for you to do a few different things. The biggest one here that becomes probably the biggest roadblock is actually slate allowing you to upgrade floors. Interestingly enough, as you progress from level 2 to level 3, floors become the biggest thing that they want you to upgrade in lieu of doing walls. Walls comes later from level 3 to level 4. So it's really important that you're able to kind of harvest and continue to build a ton of slate. Slate is also a very difficult material in itself to build, and I'll touch on that here in just 1 second. I want to highlight something really quickly though as well. That was another big tip. Whenever you're building your floors or upgrading your floors, make sure they are on a wall. The biggest thing for that is going to be that you need that in order to upgrade, right? Just like your main base, you need that in order to upgrade into the next level for the walls. You're going to have to do the walls eventually. So making sure that you have your floors placed against, so they're next to a wall, like right in here, these 2 spaces, this one and this one, these were not good placements for these. What I should have done is put these on the walls. That way we had the opportunity. I could have put them, for instance, these 2 spots over here. That way in the future, as I need to build walls up and get additional progress from that perspective, I would not have to then go and wait to install an upgrade to the floor. That part's very important. I just really want to highlight that as another major tip. And you can see that outside of our one little blender with those 2 spaces, every other floor we have upgraded is sitting on a wall. That part is very important. We've also traded off, as you can see here. We've got 2 here in the corner to upgrade these 2 walls, and then we have the rest of these floors in place, not on this side, but on this side, to count into this room. The good part here is, again, this adjoining wall, as it's been upgraded, is still counting for both. So that is really huge. So coming back to slate, why is slate so difficult? Mostly in large part because it's a pretty difficult recipe. Water bottles, not so bad. Iron wire you can make pretty simply, which is not a huge deal. Sawdust in and of itself is also not the most terrible craft. You have to obviously break down pine into whatever the pine boards are, planks, or whatever they are. I can't recall what they are. And then from that point, you break them down into sawdust. That conversion, it's not great, but it's not terrible. The biggest thing that I think holds people up, and I'm seeing this not quite yet on my free-to-play series, but probably will soon, is the fact of asbestos and how infrequent you're able to pick this up. So if you're unfamiliar, you're able to get this from Port Sewers, which is an awesome place to be able to do that. If you clear all of Port Sewer and the 2 upper levels, you should walk away there with at least, I would say on average 8, sometimes maybe even 12 if you get really, really lucky with the drops. The problem ends up being is you need 4 of these per individual slate. It is a ton of grinding of Port Sewer to get there, and this is where Expeditions comes in really, really big. So those are a couple of things I would say if you are waiting or working towards, maybe you're at level 1 or level 2 and you're kind of slowly moving forward on your settlement progress, I would strongly advise that you hit Port Sewers early, often, consistently, because you are going to need a lot, and I mean a lot, of asbestos to be able to get your upgrades done. Now, the other thing that ended up being a bit of a roadblock for me, surprisingly enough, as we kind of got to the upper levels, was actually making chipboard. Now, chipboard in and of itself, this recipe is actually pretty good. I don't have an issue with it. Essentially, you're getting 5 chipboard for every 20 stack of resin you drop in and every 50 stack of sawdust. That in and of itself isn't bad. The biggest material that held me up here was resin. Resin was absolutely brutal to be able to get. We are getting only 6 per day, and you can imagine 6 per day with not a lot of other great opportunities, because you have to go to transport hub to pick this up. This becomes a very restrictive material, and chipboard, again, these subsequently then become difficult to get because you don't have the resin. So resin and asbestos, I would say, were the 2 biggest things. The other thing that I would strongly recommend for folks as you're continuing to work through and get your stuff upgraded here for the settlement is make sure that you're just constantly refining basic materials. So much of the basic materials, so much of these pine beams, excuse me, I said planks, or I don't know what I said earlier, but so much of that stuff and iron billets becomes really important for future crafts and being able to drop them down. If I had to tell you one area to focus on, I would actually tell you this right here, the wood shop. The wood shop becomes absolutely critical. This is the one that continues to get the most work out of me. And the nice part, as you're seeing, is when you get up to level 4, you finally, and I don't know why they didn't do this with more rooms, you finally get the option to drop in another sawmill. And that, I can tell you, was so huge. It was absolutely critical for us to be able to get to the point where we're at now. Even if we paid a ton of attention, we were not hitting this with regularity. So now we can come back even from a small session away with 10 pine beams, and that is a absolute game changer. I cannot overemphasize or stress that part enough. So other than that, it's just constantly working towards getting some additional materials, constantly refining and looking forward to what you need. Again, I would pay a lot of attention, and I feel like settlement is one of those things that if you mapped it out very efficiently, it could be done. I don't want to say easily, because it's going to take some work, but it could be done without a ton of stress. But that's purely if you've taken the time to map it out, figure out what you want to do, figure out what you can get upgraded as well. So just showcasing this really quick. Again, all of these are leveled up to the max, as you can see. And I think that would be the other big tip that I would have for anybody going to jump in or working through settlement, is saying, hey Doc, there's so much to do. What should I upgrade first? Headquarters. And you might be saying, well, why is that? Because, as you all know, or may not know, headquarters gives you the additional option to get these next levels of expeditions. There's 3 total as of the recording of this, and having the option to come and even get to some very basic, right? The very basic of this, getting through the first 5 levels nets you an asbestos every day. I cannot overemphasize how important that is, and you get these extra few things on top of it. So get your HQ leveled up to level 3 as quick as you can. That way you have access to every expedition. Make sure you're coming in here to get your daily loot. And other than that, just try to prioritize as best you can. It's a fine balance, I think, of being able to complete expeditions and putting resources towards that, specifically upgrading your van. On the flip side, always working towards consistent settlement progress and trying to prioritize and trying to get those different things up. So that's just kind of a quick overview. I can't think of anything else besides really asbestos and resin that were big holdups. I did have to, again, crank out some different types of materials here in this, what is this called? I don't remember. Foundry. In the foundry, we had to kind of whip up a whole bunch of different materials because you can use iron billet inside of this, again, to make these, your iron rods, right? Which, again, you don't need a ton of, but also to get into your rolling machine and make iron sheets, which was an important upgrade. So you need a ton of iron billet. You're going to need a ton of pine beam to make this thing keep moving forward and keep going around in a circle. And I think if you can have just a really good, consistent, and I mean consistent, you have to be popping in here every day to get your loot, to do all those kinds of things, kind of focus on your expeditions, I think, initially up first. And if you're able to do that, I think you'll find some pretty fast progress. You can supplement this, again, with the transport hub. That part is really important. There are certainly lots of other good crates that you can pick up, but if you're not in need of those types of supplies, you can get the construction crate, and it will have some settlement items in it, which can save you just a massive amount of time. So this is just, again, a brief overview. I look forward to getting these iron pallets or these sturdy pallets or whatever they're called. I'm going to work towards getting a handful of these upgraded, and next steps for me, I'm working on floors. That's what I'm doing. And probably walls, actually. We have seen with the way that the upgrades are going that we need to continue to get walls and floors upgraded. And I can handle this at this point. So 16 is a lot for the storehouse. I do think it makes sense that they understand that that's going to be one of your bigger spaces, just with everything that you have to get in here. But you can see we have 12 reinforced floor for the foundry. Where am I going? Right here. We have 12 here for the wood shop. So lots more to come. I am hoping that if we do get an update and it has anything to do with settlement progress, I am hoping we get at least a few. I don't need every single one, but at least a few of the workbenches leveled up and increased their total numbers. Again, if we had an option to get down a second casting bench, that would be huge. That would absolutely be monstrous. I don't think you need like a ton of drawing benches or anything else like that to really clutter it up. But they gave us one extra of these, which I thought was interesting at a sawmill perspective, but didn't give us an extra foundry here, whatever this was, again, casting bench, in order to continue to make more iron billets. That seemed like a little bit of a miss to me, but that is what it is. So if you have any questions at all about settlement, about what you should be doing, or other thoughts, jump into our Discord, link in the description. Also, in the comments down below here, you can pose some questions, to our best to answer everything that we can. And we're just grinded through. I look forward to, again, trying to get everything we need for the reinforced floors. This is going to be a major grind, but I am hoping that, again, if we do get a settlement update, if we do get some new benches, if we do get a few new things, that we'll be in a much better space, not only to finish the reinforced floors, but also work towards getting our progress here with our levels, and that part being really important. So I am very excited to share this. Let me know where you're sitting as part of your settlement progress. Let me know how your expeditions and daily loot is coming along. I'm looking forward to jumping into more expeditions, continuing to work towards getting some stuff done from that perspective. So that is important to me. But with that, apologize again for no cam this video. We will be back on that in the next one. Rest assured. But just appreciate it. Flash some socials, like, comment, subscribe. Again, Discord, a whole bunch of different links. Go check out our main channel as well. Give us some love over there. We would really appreciate it. Hope you're having a fantastic day. Hit that subscribe button for me. Help me get to 10K. That's our goal for the year. And other than that, we'll wrap this one up. Thanks for watching. Catch you in the next one. Peace.